Hello everyone, this is Philip Vinogradov, Director of Technology for Upper Dublin School District with a quick tutorial for you on how to add our district calendar events to your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer. We start by coming to the district homepage, navigating over here on the right hand side to calendar events and clicking on View More Events. This will bring us to our interactive web-based calendar, and over here on the far right is a little dialog box that you can click on, the calendar help, and the calendar help is full of all kinds of useful hints on how to use the various tools available to you here, but I will go over the major ones that most of us will want to use. This button with the up arrow is the calendar export, and this is the button you will use to add the school calendar to your phone or your tablet or your computer. I'm going to first, though, go over some of the other features that we have embedded. So I'm going to jump ahead and navigate to the month of September. September is a busy month. You can navigate over here using these navigation buttons. You can also click on this quick drop down if you need to skip ahead very quickly to a specific day, and you can click on that day. But I'm going to come back here to September, which will be a very busy month, chock full of events. So we see that September has this huge menu of events. And for a parent, I might just want to see some of these events. So let's take the case of a parent who might have a student at an elementary school and a student at the middle school. So they can click on the calendar options and they can say, all right, I want to just see Fort Washington, and I don't want to see the high school. I just want to see Fort Washington and the middle school where I have both my children. I can then update the view and the calendar will change, and so now I have just those events for the month. Still a lot of events. I'm going to come back here again because I would like to add back all of the events. Great. I also sometimes like to see my calendar not as a list, but as a grid. So for that, I can click on this grid pop-out, and a grid will be generated for me, and I can see all of the events laid out in typical calendar fashion. If I'd want to print this month, I could click on this little print dialog box, and then I would recommend viewing it as a PDF. It'll convert to a PDF for me. I can expand that if I want to see it as a PDF. And then I can send it off to my printer. Let's collapse this. And when we come back here, you'll notice the blue alerts button. So you can sign up for alerts and all of these items with the yellow alert. You can sign up to get a text message or an email message. And you can sign up for site alerts by clicking on the blue alert sign and then clicking on register a new user if you haven't signed up yet. And the process is pretty simple and straightforward. And last, we want to add events to our personal calendar. So for this, we will use the calendar export. So when I click on the calendar export, I have a few options. I will go over them in reverse order. The one we're going to want is iCal feed, but we'll start over here with export to file so you understand what these do. Export to file will give me the option to get a static snapshot of the calendar. It's not subscribing to the calendar. I won't get updates to changes. I'm just going to get a static snapshot. I can have a start date, an end date, pick the calendars I want to see, export it to Excel, export it to iCal, export it for Outlook, etc. Again, this is not subscribing to the calendar. I won't see changes. This is just if I wanted a static snapshot. RSS stands for really simple syndication, and an RSS feed is something that you would use if you were using an RSS service like Feedly. So if you were normally using Feedly to check events and have subscriptions come to one place, an RSS feed is the tool you'd use. But for most of us, we're going to want to use the iCal feed. So I'm going to click on the iCal feed, and you'll see you have several options. The XML option is good if you wanted to, again, add it to an RSS reader, or if you have a Windows Live account and have a Windows phone. And this is the option that you would want to use. For most of us, we're going to want to use the iCal option, and this would be for an Android phone or an iPhone. Also to subscribe to a Google Calendar, the Apple Mail and Calendar app, or the Outlook Calendar app. So we'll start in reverse order. If you have a computer at home that has Outlook or the Apple Calendar client, and that's the calendar tool you use, either Outlook or that Apple client, simply clicking here will open an application request. And if you launch that application, either Outlook or the Apple Calendar app will open, and you can subscribe to the calendar directly there. If you have an iPhone and you have a Mac at home and you use that calendar application, subscribing here on your Mac will also subscribe on your iPhone. In this case, I'm going to do nothing. If I wanted to subscribe and add the feed to my Google Calendar, if I was using Google Calendar, I could say add to my Google Calendar, and if I click there, my Google Calendar will open up and I will be prompted, would I like to add this calendar? In this case, I'm not going to add the calendar. Come back over here. And then finally, I have the option, and that will work as well, right? If you visit the website with your Android phone and you click on the calendar export and you say get Google iCal URL, you can subscribe directly on your Android phone. If you are using an iPhone, you want to get this standard iCal URL. So again, for the iPhone, I have this option. If I have a Mac at home, I can just click here, subscribe, and it'll be pushed out to my iPhone as well. If I don't have a Mac, though, I want to get this standard iCal URL. I tried it on my phone, and it's actually a little tricky because if I zoom in, it's hard to get there and click. Maybe I'm just all thumbs. But there's a trick, right? So if I click here and I say get the standard iCal URL, this URL will come up. I can copy the URL, select, and I copy that URL. And then if I email that URL to myself and I open up that URL in my Mail app on my phone, just clicking on the URL will prompt me, do I want to subscribe to the calendar? I say yes, and then I will be subscribed to that calendar, and all the school events will show up on my iPhone. If you are not interested in all the school events, then you would want to pick just those schools that are salient for you. So in the case of the parent who has a child at maybe Fort Washington Elementary School and a child at Sandy Run, they might pick just these two and just subscribe to those two calendars. So you have those options there. I hope that was helpful. To recap quickly, if I would like to add the district calendar to my phone, I click over here on the calendar export. I click on the iCal feed. I select the calendar that I want to subscribe to, XML if I'm on a Windows phone. iCal will help me if I want to add it to Outlook or the calendar app on my Mac. Add to Google Calendar if I use Google Calendar. Get the standard iCal URL if I wanted to add it directly to my iPhone. I copy that URL once I select what I want. Select the entire URL. Copy that URL. I could then mail it to myself, and as soon as I click on it, it will subscribe me to the calendar on my iPhone. There are also, you could take additional steps. You can go to your mail and calendar accounts in the settings of your iPhone or of your Android phone, and in there's an option to subscribe to a calendar, and it'll ask you for a URL, and you could paste that in. But I've tested it out on both. If you email this link to yourself and just click on the link, your phone will prompt you, would you like to subscribe to this calendar? And you say, yes, I would. So those are the simple steps. Enjoy and reach out with any questions. Thank you.